Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and in this video you're going to learn a lot, I hope. You're going to learn about the approved key features for the Fed's instant payments platform, what their next goal is, what the timeline is this something that's going to be replaced by a CBDC or Libra Facebook solution payments platform. How about Ripple's PayID or something like that, where you just have these alias addresses? Is that going to be included? And what about cross-border payments? Is it included in this platform? When will it launch? And the last part is for Grayscale. The sales are picking up, but does that mean for XRP? So we're going to go to the Federal Reserve Board website, and we're going to look at what they said about instant payments, because they made a big announcement. It's the approval of their core features. But first, let me get this off my chest. The world of cross-border payments is huge, and it does not revolve around the United States. And I'm not in the least bit pessimistic with the information I'm bringing you in this video. That being told, when you are focusing on the digital dollar or the United States CBDC and thinking that it's going to be a game changer for XRP, I think you're being misguided. In fact, I think you've got your eye on the wrong ball, because this world of payments is very global. So I don't know where that narrative is coming from. And I am looking at the reality, and truly, the reality is very bright. So if we go to that video, it is here, and I am just so surprised there's only been 62 views. Kind of crazy. And because it's all about the retail payment system in the most updated form as of August 13th, 2020. Up on the top right is Esther George. She is the president and CEO of the Federal Reserve out of Kansas City. And then over here on the right-hand side is Ken Montgomery. He's the COO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. He's kind of the executive that's overseeing this work. He's very much a leader of the team. And then down here on the bottom, who does most of the speaking in this video, is Lael Brainard. She's a member of the Fed board, and she's really key to the development, and we'll talk about a lot of the progress of this payments platform. Actually, we're going to hear from all three of them, but in the video, if you watch the full hour, she is talking the most. Okay, so the digital payments platform. They have been working on this since August, and they have looked at many prototypes. There are over 100 people working on this project. And there are also some key hires that they've pulled in from the outside. And they also are looking at some 200 comment letters that they received. So the government announced that they've decided on these core features for approval. And the features are part of the functionality. And I just want you to hear from their words on that particular fact here.
Hitting our program milestone. And today, I'm pleased to announce the Federal Reserve Board has approved the core features and functionality based on extensive input from stakeholders. The FedNow design we're announcing today benefited tremendously from industry feedback, including almost 200 comment letters. In addition to the core interbank clearing and settlement functionality that will enable consumers and businesses to send and receive payments through participating banks, FedNow will include features that enhance its usability.
All right, so we're going to really give you, I think, a quick breakdown, because you can go back and listen to it in its entirety, but you're going to hear that the market is going to be introduced to this in a phased approach, and it's going to be expanded over time. And yes, they have some fraud tools. They're going to have a 24/7, 365-day adequate funds that was requested from the banks. That is part of that central bank's role, is to make sure that they have the liquidity. They're also going to develop a liquidity management tool, and this tool is going to be made available on a very broad basis. And interoperability, it's very key, and they are going to do it with some private payment services, and they're going to use the ISO 20022 standard that the banks will be able to route through the FedNow or that payment services. So here are just quickly some of those key features that have been approved. There's basically four big ones, but we'll listen to a couple here. I'm at the 8:43 mark. I'm going to go to this video here. All right, here we go.
Initial service offering. First, we heard strong support for fraud tools to support banks' efforts to mitigate the risk of fraud with instant payments. Accordingly, on implementation, banks will be able to set their parameters that limit transaction activity in FedNow based on their knowledge of their own customers. And as we gain insights from banks' experience with that initial set of fraud tools, we'll explore other ways to fight fraud that may be valuable, including centralized monitoring by the FedNow Service. Second, banks told us they want to be able to ensure they have adequate funds in their Federal Reserve accounts on a 24/7 by 365 basis to cover outflows related to instant payments, especially during hours when existing payment services aren't open and funds can't be transferred into Federal Reserve accounts to cover intraday overdraft. So we will develop a liquidity management tool that allows a participant with excess funds in its Federal Reserve account to transfer funds to another participant who needs the funds on weekends, holidays, and after hours. Moreover, we'll make the liquidity management tool available for instant payments broadly, including to banks that choose not to participate in FedNow. Participants in a private sector instant payment service will be able to use the tool to transfer funds from their Federal Reserve accounts to the joint account that backs settlement in that service. Third, it's important for the FedNow service to be interoperable with the private sector instant payment service to accomplish the goal of nationwide reach. As we've learned from experience with our other payment services, the form and timeline for achieving interoperability depends a lot on the level of commitment and engagement from stakeholders across the industry, including other instant payment settlement service operators, both present and future. In part, to facilitate interoperability, the FedNow design will use the widely accepted ISO 20022 message standard and other industry best practices. To the extent other instant payment services fully adopt the same publicly available, widely accepted standard, this approach would enable interoperability whereby banks can route payments through either the FedNow service or other instant payment services based on the available path of the receiver.
It's great. So people are going to be able to choose the different paths depending on their preference, which I think is just great. So now let's hear Ken Montgomery speak to the final specifications, because this is, of course, the outline of the approval of key functionality, but we don't have a final specification yet. And if we listen to Mr. Montgomery here, we can hear as to when that's going to happen. It's very quick. It's like only 10 seconds long.
For the initial release, and is currently seeking industry input funds. Our goal is to publish final message specs by the first quarter of next year.
So they are going to get it done by the first quarter of next year. So we're looking at January, February, or March. And this is going to be a basic platform that has many options, and it'll have that interoperability. And like I said, everyone is going to be given a choice. All right, will Libra from Facebook or a CBDC, central bank digital currency, will it replace this? Because you have to understand that this payments platform is not a central bank digital currency. It's not a CBDC. It's an instant payment service. And you have to know where the Fed's focus is right now. And I think you're going to find that their focus is not on the CBDC. And, you know, I just want to talk to that point for a moment. Everybody talks about a central bank digital currency as being just like a central bank digital currency. Definitely understand that there is a wholesale version which there are countries who have already deployed. And then there is a retail version where citizens can use it and transact with it. And that is much more complicated. And we're seeing China trying to do that. But I think people don't understand that there are two completely different types of central bank digital currencies. All right, so we're going to listen to this 2446 section just about a minute. And this is where we are hearing if it's going to eventually be replaced by a central bank digital currency or by Libra.
So Governor Brainard, will the FedNow service end up being replaced by things like Facebook Libra or central bank digital currencies?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've certainly seen a tremendous pace of innovation in the payments arena. Efforts by global stablecoin networks such as Facebook's Libra to drive the next stage of payment innovation have raised some fundamental questions about legal and regulatory safeguards, financial stability, and even the appropriate role of private money. That has intensified calls for central banks to be looking at digital currencies in order to maintain the sovereign currency as the anchor of the nation's payment system. And as you know, China has been moving ahead rapidly on its work on a digital currency, building on the tremendous reach of its mobile payments platform. So given all of that, given the dollar's important role, of course it's important for us as America's central bank to remain on the frontier of research and policy development regarding central bank digital currency. So we are engaging in research and experimentation. We're collaborating with other central banks. But our real operational focus has to be on providing the instant payment service that customers, businesses, and banks currently want and deserve. The promise of FedNow is that it will enable low-cost instant payments for consumers and businesses through their trusted bank account providers, with the same important consumer protections associated with bank services, such as deposit insurance, error resolution, and fraud protection. And of course, those are the kinds of protections that may not exist with other non-bank service providers. That's why we think it's so important to continue meeting those project milestones on FedNow.
Okay, so sorry, I've got Momo. She's always sleeping behind my laptop here. So let's see. Their real focus is operational focus on the FedNow instant payments. So some people are going to say, oh, that they're just not telling you what they're really doing. Well, it's possible, and that's okay. I mean, you know, they don't have to tell everything, even though they say they want to be transparent. I know that people are always working on things that are not in the public eye, and that's okay. But, you know, for the most part, why would you be so transparent when the whole world is talking about, like Japan is doing their CBDC to get it in the ready phase to be able to, they made the announcement that they are getting it really like at the starting gate. So the horse is in the gate, the horse has got the jockey on it, it's ready to go, it's been in training, and when the gates open, it's ready to go. Why wouldn't the United States, if they were really working on one to a point where they are at the same level as a lot of these other countries, why wouldn't they tell people? I just don't get I guess I just don't get why. Maybe I'm just so naive. I don't get why some people think all these conspiracy theories that they're really launching something secretly and they're just not telling us. Well, okay, that's all right, but I don't think we would see so much coming out of the Ripple camp who is really connected to the powers that be within the government would be vocal about them being behind if they really were working on something. I think if they were really working on something or closer or along the way, Ripple would know, and they wouldn't make those statements in those very public letters, open letters, and on the Ripple Insights. I don't know. So this is, I'm just, of course, I'm just really talking here to myself. So sorry. Let's keep it going. All right. Do you, as an XRP holder, do you recognize this page? This is the PayID. And this is a way to pay someone if you had this alias name like Alice $example.com. And you know, I really think that Ripple launched this site to build a hopeful eventual payment system that integrates with the FedNow. I really do. I wasn't sure, because I'll tell you why. I wasn't sure why they would choose the $, because a global payment would be not using the $. So I remember having the conversation with Jeff and Chip about, you know, whether this was a good idea to have a $sign or not. Well, if it's going to be a domestic use system for the United States integration with the feds, yeah, his $sign is great. So maybe this is why this was launched, and it very well could be something that is going to be successful and used in the future. Definitely. But I got a feeling that the timing on it was in regards to the feds kind of finalizing their final short list of functionality. Because let me just tell you to this part here. They're going to talk about this way to pay people through an email or a phone number, and it's, you know, this directory service where you use this alias base like a PayID. So 33, yeah, 32. Okay. Listen to whether or not a payment system like PayID will be part of this solution in the first phase. That's what I'm getting at here.
Esther, back to you for another question. That is, why won't a directory service be available when a FedNow service applies?
Yeah, you know, Ken, as you are well aware, as we gathered input from the industry about what would be important to an instant payment service like FedNow, excuse me, the issue of having an alias-based or directory-based service came up a lot. And as we talked about that, we know that's going to be really important, the ability to offer what we shorthand call P2P services that let people use an email or a phone number is going to be an important feature at some point. What we had to ultimately think about, though, was the other push that we heard from the industry, and that is we need this service quickly. And so as we looked at what it would take to really settle on a directory, a way that we could incorporate those aliases into the service, we made the trade-off, and it was a difficult trade-off, but I think an important one, to say it's important to get this service to market quickly. So we would first emphasize and prioritize getting the Fed service functionality delivered, get that infrastructure in place, and then we will very quickly turn to how could we enable directory functionality to be able to provide value that we know will be an important part of this service. So rather than work on that at the front end and extend the time to delivery, we're going to get really the baseline infrastructure out there as quickly as we can, and then make a commitment to begin to, and we will continue throughout to work on how we could provide that kind of functionality in a very early subsequent phase.
I think that was pretty clear that it's not going to be in the rollout of the launch, a system like that. But I think that the timing for Ripple to get it going, because something like that really does take a lot of time to get the momentum, probably was a good time to ramp it up. And then when they are ready to get this done, I think Ripple will have the solution built and made. So I think it's great, but it's not quite as fast as everybody of course, is hoping for. Now, the big question, cross-border payments. Are the cross-border payments functionality and features a part of this service? So I'm at the 42:48 mark. This is quite short, but here is your answer.
At what point will you consider cross-border functionality?
So Ken, this has been an important question for a long time, and it's one that we incorporated in the original description of our desired outcomes for a modern payment system in the United States, that we would look at this feature of cross-border functionality. I think important to our calculus of how to position the FedNow service at launch is not to diminish that we continue to think that's an important aspect of a more modern U.S. payment system, but really to recognize we need to be laser focused on getting that initial functionality domestically. And so that's where we will position the FedNow service. However, I would say we know cross-border payments continues to really be a point of need and interest. We see this coming out of many new features of payment services and functionalities that we see on the landscape.
She has a little problem with her sound, but it kicks back in. Don't worry. Comes back quickly here. So on their end, not mine.
So we will continue to keep that in focus. I suspect we will be that as it's in place, then we can begin to look forward on where those value-added features are going to apply. And my guess would be we will continue to hear about cross-border payments and want that to be part of future features and functionality we provide to this service.
So it's part of the future feature functionality of the service. All right, the last but not least actually is, when is this going to go live? When will they launch? So we're going to hear from, I think it's Ken Montgomery in this one. So when will the instant payments launch?
President George, can you talk more about when the service will launch and whether anything like pilots will happen before that date?
Yeah, so when the service will launch is also part of really getting a little further down the path of how we determine what our technology platform and approach is going to be. But based on the good work that Ken's doing, we look to be on track for the estimate that we put out last year in our Federal Register notice to say 2023 and 2024 look like reasonable timeframes to do it. But I would expect that over the coming year, we will be able to get a little more precise about when we think we will be able to deliver that service.
There you have it. All right, I think that's the latest update I can give you on the instant payments. So let's just move along quickly to the rest of, I'm going to go really fast because I know that was probably long to sit through. I want to call out to Ferdy. He does a really great blog. He's a quality writer and a really quality guy, and I consider him a friend in the community for sure. He wrote a very good article about a video that I did because I had spent a lot of time researching, and I research a lot, as a lot of you know, and I'm not trying to have anybody feel sorry for me. I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get this video done right here so that I could go and see that digital installation of art for the afternoon, and then go out for dinner with my friend for the evening. And I did it on some research that I did based on the Forbes article, and then I just ended up using the tweets that Mr. Garlinghouse put out there. And the problem was, and I found out about, once I uploaded this video, I found out like at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was in bed, I just happened to check my phone and saw someone had left a comment that Mr. Garlinghouse had made a correction to his numbers. And the numbers that he made was that originally in the tweet, it said that there was 2 billion on-demand liquidity transactions that have been done since the launch, but he meant to write 2 million. So the fact that I used his tweets made my video wrong. So I immediately unlisted it. I got up out of bed 2 o'clock in the morning and took it dark, which is painful. Let me tell you, it's painful because when you work so hard on a video and it's getting momentum and you really feel good and happy that you put out some useful information, and then you have to bring it dark. Yeah, maybe that's one of the most painful things to do as a content creator. So I was so sorry, mainly also for Ferdy, because Ferdy had referenced this video in the article that he did. And then I couldn't believe this morning I was doing the dishes and I heard someone else still talking about the 2 billion on-demand liquidity transactions. So even though Mr. Garlinghouse had corrected himself on Twitter, and this is somebody I can tell you for sure 100% follows him, he didn't get it. He missed it. And this was the whole purpose of my video, was because the Forbes article had so many inaccuracies. I talked about how the truth really matters. And I'm not perfect and I get things wrong. And boy, we all get things wrong. That is not the point at all. The point is that if you know that something is wrong, you really should speak out and stop it right away, because these mistruths take on a life of their own, and then the rumors or the just wrong information just gets crazy. And so this is a perfect example, right? This tweet went out on Thursday in America, Friday for me in Japan, and now it's Sunday in Japan, and we have very informed people in the community that are doing their part in trying to bring value in the way of content through YouTube. And this person still was quoting the $2 billion amount. So that is my point, is that when we do know that something is wrong, we may seem a little bit rough around the edges, and people think, oh, she's just not being respectful of someone's opinion or what have you. I guess maybe after a couple of years in this space and you see so much of the wrong information and you know how it can be so damaging, I'm not as, I don't want to use the word tolerant. I'm not as easygoing about that, I guess. So anyway, that $2 billion transaction should be 2 million. Not 2 billion. And well, there, it is what it is. I think I've put that to rest finally. I hope I don't have to unlist any more videos. And then this is Grayscale. Grayscale, the crypto products that they sell are not easing up, and not just BTC now, which means that it's not just Bitcoin that's selling out of there. Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund is one that is a mix of different cryptos. We've got BTC, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. And they reference that this is starting to sell. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint here, because people are going to spin this, like positive for certain coins, when actually you can go and check yourself if it actually is affecting, which coins it's actually affecting in regards to the pool of the investment that is being held by Grayscale. So here you can go to Edgar. This is part of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. You can see all of the transactions that happen with all of those funds, all right? And when we look at that pooled investment holding of Bitcoin, we can see on August 6th that the amount of holdings was increased. You can go down in the listing and find that they added a tremendous amount, 14,422 additional Bitcoin. So that really shows you there was a huge demand for the one fund that they sell that only has Bitcoin, representing, what is this, 167 million? Yeah, I believe so. 932,466. So go to the XRP forms, and you can see that the last time that a form was filed with the SEC for increasing XRP was actually back in January 17th, 2020. And this is an amendment from the first sale of XRP, which occurred in March 2018. And the minimum amount, just so you know, for the outside investor to get into this fund is $25,000. And at this time, I think, you can double check me, but I think on the January 17th, when the last purchase was made by Grayscale, it was in an amount of about $11 million. So if you really want to see what's selling for Grayscale, just go to the SEC and look at their forms and their filings, and you can see what they are adding and how much they are adding. Okay, it's just a little research hint for you. And then, boy, I'll tell you, if you tell me on Twitter that I have photoshopped something, that's a good way to get blocked. This is an ad that's on the SBI Remit Vietnam site, and it is an ad that's promoting the latest campaign that they have, and you can see that they show that it runs on Ripple. And I just thought that it was great, and somebody said it looks like a pineapple fruit can label. It made me laugh. But please don't ever tell me that I photoshopped something to try to tell you that something runs on Ripple when it doesn't. This is a Facebook ad. Okay, everybody. Oh gosh. And then I'm just going to jump to the fluff, which is Japan is finally getting on board with being more eco-friendly, and they have actually, throughout the whole country, they have started a no bag rule, no plastic bag rule. If you want one, you have to pay for them now. And so it has really seen a really big reduction in the waste. And just, I don't know if you know this, when you come to Japan, all your coin and bills are put into a little tray like this, and then your change is given back in a little tray like this. Even before the current global situation, there was never a hand-to-hand exchange of money in Japan. It's always been through a tray. That's just the way this country has worked. I think it's always had maybe a phobia for germs. So it just turns out that it's really convenient now. I mean, I used to always think it was like, just give me the money, just hand it to me. Don't make me pick up all the coins individually in this tray. But now I'm okay with it. Just pass the tray to me. The bags, though, for the online sales through Rakuten or Amazon have actually increased. So maybe that's not so good. I don't know, it's kind of strange. This article is about how, yeah, the reduction has definitely occurred in the stores. People are bringing their own shopping bags, but the sales for these disposable bags are actually up. I don't know, go figure. And then if you want to look at bags, oh my gosh, this is Tsuchiya-san, who is in Tokyo. He's in the Marunouchi area, which is near the real and near the Emperor's Palace. It's a business district. It's near Ginza, and it's a bag company that has been in business since 1965, and everything is handmade. Everything is just handmade and so quality. Here is an example of where he is, the designer is actually at his sewing machine. Pretty amazing stuff. And the company in 1965 actually got its start by selling the traditional book bags that the kids carry. And they used to only come in black, and then there was red that was added, and now thanks to Nagoya, I hear Nagoya is the place in the country that first stepped out of this very rigid conservative line of bags now. Every color under the sun is there. And also they have a lot of theme bags as well. And I just popped onto their Instagram site and I was like, wow, this is probably one of the most outstanding Instagram sites I have ever seen. I don't know who is doing all this photography, but it's amazing. There's the Skytree Tower up in the northeast part of Tokyo. It's all very Japan-centric, and they are just truly amazing, amazing photographs. So I'm going to put a link to this in the description below. And it is sometimes of some of their quality craftsmanship with the bags that they make, but sometimes it's just something that's so Japanese in terms of seasonality for the most part, or street scene or what have you. Amazing. There's just so much creativity in this world. It's just lovely. And then I'm going to leave you something because it's probably one of the hottest days of the year. August is horrible unless you are down in Okinawa or up in Hokkaido. Don't come to Japan in August. Watch this. This is funny. This is a cat who was thinking about going outside. It's just 15 seconds long. Look at this. Oh, nice summer day. Huh? Oh, I don't think so. It's a video that is going around out there from someone in Japan. All right, everybody. Yeah, thanks for hanging in there with me today. Do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.